Guess who else was there? Taylor Swift and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, we've lost some talk.
Hi and welcome to Flawsome Talk. I'm Shashti Flo, journalist, Hollywood truth teller, and your voice of reason in a town built on delusion. Okay, I wasn't going to work today because it's Thanksgiving, but I just had to jump on because there's so much happening, and this is just insane. This is massive. So first, I thought the big news today was that the judge just ruled to unseal a lot of new documents that we are going to see next week. But then I realized they already unsealed the timeline of all the drama that Justin Baldoni's publicist, Jennifer Abel, sent to Melissa Nason to explain to her everything that had happened up till that point, which was after the premiere of the movie. And one of the things, amongst a lot of other things, that document reveals is that during that meeting in Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's penthouse, when he was yelling at Justin Baldoni for 5 to 6 hours, guess who else was there? Taylor Swift and Hugh Jackman were there and witnessed all of this going down. I will go through some of this today, and then I will continue to talk about this tomorrow. Okay, so first we have to go through quickly what the judge just decided. As I said before, this judge, even though we feel that he's been biased towards Blake Lively, it seems like now this judge is really pro-transparency. And that is why he has decided to unseal a bunch of documents that are coming out next week. December 3rd is the date where the parties have to refile with the few redactions that have been approved, so that some of the private information they don't want to share or they don't want to come out is redacted, but the content of a lot of text messages, emails, voicemails, and phone calls, recordings will be unsealed, as well as metadata, which could reveal, especially from Blake Lively's side, if any evidence have been deleted or disappeared somehow. That is also something we are going to find out next week. So you probably remember that I was a bit disappointed last week because the judge then ruled that a lot of the evidence that Justin Baldoni filed with his motion for summary judgment, remember I said it was 275 documents and 183 of those documents were under seal and they wouldn't be unsealed until December 19th, or that was the date. Or that was the date that all the parties had to agree on what was going to be unsealed or sealed. So we would have to wait until next year. But that is only one batch of evidence. And this is another one. And this is huge. The reason the judge is doing this is because he thinks that we deserve to know the truth here. And you have to keep in mind that the judge knows everything at this point. He has seen all the evidence. So why does he think that we deserve to see this? Because there's some major evidence here that will change everything. So this doesn't only go for Blake's team here, it also goes for Baldoni and especially Street Relations and Jones' work, who have to be transparent about their work methods. The reason why they wanted to stay secretive, especially Street Relations, is because they didn't want to reveal the way they work and they didn't want to reveal their clients. Now they might have to do that. Could that put Baldoni in a bad light? Not really, because all the evidence that we're going to get from Street Relations will only show that all they did was trying to protect Justin and be on top of things and try to go out and kill stories that were trying to smear Justin Baldoni. And we've seen a lot of that communication already, so I don't think there's anything really new we're going to learn from that, except that these people might not work as ethical as they pretend all the time. But I don't think there's going to be any big surprises there. What we will see, though, are communication from Blake Lively's side, and especially one recording that is going to be unsealed. This also could potentially harm Stephanie Jones, because as you know, she said that she didn't know anything about what was going on here. She wasn't really taking part of this alleged smear campaign because she wasn't involved and she wasn't informed from her team workers. And that's why this evidence that is about to come out could really harm her if it shows that she was in all these email threads. We've seen some already where we can see that she obviously knew what was going on behind the scenes when all the stuff happened around the premiere and before that. But I think we're about to see a little bit more. And as you know, Blake Lively's team have been accusing Baldoni's team of exploitation, saying that they deleted messages, especially with those signal messages. There's no talk about that here, but it's talk about other stuff that Blake Lively might have deleted. And we know that this evidence could potentially show what Blake Lively has been doing behind the scenes, how she has been planning PR strategies, all these things with her emails and text messages between her and her team that we're about to see. Okay, so let's go quickly into this timeline that I'm going to talk more about tomorrow because this is crazy. So one thing that we didn't know until this point is that Taylor Swift and Hugh Jackman were present at that meeting at the Penthouse with Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath and a representative from Sony, I think, and some other people in the Penthouse when he was yelling at Justin for about 5 to 6 hours, according to Jamie Heath's deposition. That's how long they were there. And at this time, and we know now that Taylor Swift and Hugh Jackman were also there. This means obviously that Taylor Swift is a lot more involved than we first thought. We thought that she just dropped by randomly at a meeting that Justin and Blake had about that rooftop scene, and she said she didn't know that Justin was going to be there. She had an appointment with Blake, and then she showed up, and Justin was just there by accident. But now we know she was also here during this meeting. So this is big. Also, something I didn't even know or think about is that meeting when he was yelling at Justin, they hadn't even started shooting yet. This was pre-production. Can you imagine when this happened, you yelled at someone's husband for 5 to 6 hours, and then you have to shoot an entire movie with his wife? So this meeting was around April 25th of 2023. And they didn't start until May 5th. So this entire timeline shows everything that basically went wrong and how Blake Lively was surely but slowly taking over power of the entire movie. This is so bad, you guys. And I just noticed that People magazine picked this up already and did a story on it. They're saying Taylor Swift, Hugh Jackman allegedly witnessed Ryan Reynolds confront tearful Justin Baldoni about fat-shaming Blake Lively. Ryan Reynolds allegedly unloaded on Justin Baldoni about how horrible it was. He would ask about a woman's weight during the April 2023 encounter. If you by any chance missed what that fat shaming was about, it was about Justin Baldoni having a back issue and he had to be careful with his back, obviously. And then he asked his personal trainer that was recommended to him by Blake herself how much he thought maybe Blake weighed because he was going to lift her in a scene. So it was only because he was concerned about his back. Then, of course, this turned into like a big fat shaming thing. And after this meeting, we know that they leaked this to the press because TMZ did a story on it. Also, this is not great for Hugh Jackman because he's been trying to rehabilitate his image now. After leaving his wife, there were so many rumors, of course, about him and Deborah Lee Furness, if he was unfaithful to her, if he met Sutton Foster before they actually split, and he just went public with Sutton, and now this is coming out. It doesn't really look good for Hugh. It's just not a good look. Another thing that I'm really fascinated about here is that why would they keep this a secret? Did they do this to protect Hugh Jackman and Taylor Swift? Is that why they didn't reveal this from the beginning? Because we've heard about this meeting for so long now, but we didn't know until this point that Taylor and Hugh were present. And why were they there? Did they want to show off their dragons in front of Justin Baldoni to really belittle him in front of these two big stars? Is that why they did that? To intimidate him? It says here that he was teary-eyed and very emotional. And of course, we've read the text messages that Justin sent to his group of friends after this meeting, and how devastated he was, and that he was just shell-shocked. He couldn't even react to it because he didn't know what to say, because all the things that they accused him of never really happened. There are so many things on this timeline that I want to go through, because there's a lot of stuff here that I didn't know until today. There is a lot of details, and it seems like every single day something new happened. And this also proves even more and even further how Blake Lively took over the movie and how she kept firing people. Here we have it date by date. And what shocks me the most is all the things that happened before they even started shooting. Also, another thing that I felt really appalling when I read this, I'm going to mention this today as well, is that Blake requested that everyone in the crew had to wear name tag badges with photos. She said this was standard protocol on all sets. This was not a standard practice that anyone else on set was familiar with. Wayfarer, of course, accommodated this request. So everyone had to get name tags with photos on them so she could remember so she could get even more control over people. That to me just seems like a fear tactic. So people would even be more worried around her because they knew that, okay, she knows who I am. Why would you have a picture of yourself on your name tag when your face is there? I don't get that anyways, but Blake wanted it that way and she got it that way. There's also a lot of things here that is very revealing in terms of how Blake got the other crew cast members to join her in the boycott against Justin. One of the things, before I go, is that she actually paid for Isabelle Ferrer and Brandon Sklenar to come with her to that book bonanza thing. That was on her own initiative. She didn't tell anyone about that. And that is one of the things that obviously she used to get control over them. Anyways, it's Thanksgiving, as I said, so this has to be short, but I just wanted to inform you of the major things that are coming our way. And I will get more into this timeline tomorrow because there's so much juice in here. And also about this new ruling from the judge and what we can expect in details to see from that. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you're celebrating that, if you're here in the US. And if you're in Europe, I think this is something to celebrate, what happened here today. I'm super excited about it. And I'm so happy I can share it with you guys. So anyways, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode of Flawsome Talk, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, we
Bye.
Flawsome Talk.